We are officially overdue on our Bitcoin capitulation, and I believe the Iranian conflict could precipitate it very shortly. Let's find out how. Update for the 25th of March, 2026. I remain having very little reason for a bullish case on Bitcoin at the moment. However, we do have a considerable amount of reason to be bearish. The 4-year cycle is not broken, but is looking shallow. Let's see if that maintains or holds. The Iranian conflict is working for US, but hurts its allies, and we can see this being blown out into a full-on energy crisis, drawing liquidity out of the system, and that's particularly rough for American allies. And let's see if this bull trap has been confirmed. My position at the moment remains short. In my previous video, we discussed how reliant American allies are on oil importation compared with the United States itself. The United States imports about 40% of its oil, but it is actually a net exporter. But the US does rely on specific types of oil to maintain its economy. However, what we have is the vast majority of US allies being highly reliant on oil importation, and their economies are really struggling. Australia is working on providing a rationing approach, so is New Zealand. Ironically, New Zealand shut down its only oil refinery 2 or 3 years ago, and now is finding itself importing 100% of its oil. Basically just a comical level of incompetence. And this is really the hard part. Now, the interesting thing is that what the Iranians have done, they've been quite smart. They've come and said, hey, look, to a lot of these people, especially Japan, look, we will get you your oil. We'll escort it through the Strait of Hormuz. We'll get oil to these economies. And it's really isolating the United States, where these allies are struggling to justify getting involved as a result of that. So interesting play by Iran, certainly not certainly smart in terms of doing that. We can see that showing up in our macro indicator. So this is my macro dashboard, and there's a couple things I want to point out in this dashboard. So one is we have rising interest rates in the United States, and that is occurring across the entire Western world in result to basically low oil supply. And what we've got is gold crashing, copper coming down, our gold copper ratio coming down, but this is really in response to a liquidity squeeze. So what we can see is this little indicator I've got here is my macro quality assessment. And what you can see is the white line just in the last couple days, macro quality has really declined, and that has come off a decline in production, a decline in money availability, which is the navy blue line, which you can't really see very well, and the increasing cost of money. And so what we have is we've got liquidity being pulled out of the system, and this is going to put pressure on Bitcoin's price. What we can see is the Mangosteen framework has been very smart and has clicked bearish. It did so on around the 20th of March, 19th, 20th of March, and we are coming down. And this is in response to that liquidity getting drained out of the system. Now, what I'm looking for is the precipitation into this secondary capitulation that we had in 2022, which we have not followed very well. So what we can see is we had this capitulation on the 5th of February, 2026. That aligned really closely with the capitulation we had on the 11th of May, 2022. Now, if we were going to have this capitulation, it would have occurred in early March, around the 7th, 8th of March. But we can see that we've continued on with a bit of additional resilience. And what we now might be finding is this drop in liquidity now being the true trigger for that liquidation event. So I am looking out to see if this happens. And if we break down below this red line, I say that it is incredibly likely that we're going to have that full-on capitulation. Luckily, we at Mangosteen are positioned well for this capitulation. We are flagged bearish, and everyone that is following me is positioned well to take advantage of the chaos. We can see that the MSTY winter framework continues to sort of chop through this period. We've had us go winter, and that's been at the same time winter has been up while MSTY's been flat. And Microstrategy is just kind of waiting to see what happens, which makes sense off the back of this indecision by Bitcoin. So I'm looking to see if anything's going to happen here. I believe we're probably positioned well on the winter front. If we do have that capitulation, I think winter is going to perform much better than holding MicroStrategy underlying or MSTY itself. So I think we're positioned well here as well. If you're wondering who I am just a humble Mangosteen with a background in finance, economics, accounting, and engineering, and professional experience across corporate strategy, finance, including time as head of investment and treasury for a multi-billion-dollar corporate. And I want to cultivate the next generation of active investors from suits to steel caps to renegade financial education and strategy. If you've liked what you've seen here and you think the tools that I'm using are really, really powerful, which I obviously believe that they are, you can acquire a 2-year license at the moment through Mangosteen Private. Check out my website, mangosteen.global. There's a 5% discount when you pay in Bitcoin, and there is obviously a 14-day no questions asked refund policy. So if you buy it and you decide it's not for you, then feel free to email me and I will refund you, no worries. Factual only and do not constitute recommendations. You must do your own research. Any investment or trading decisions you make are entirely your own. This is entertainment only. You are listening to a random Mangosteen on the internet.